Thank you for that, Sarah. I presume she's just gone off. We may overlap slightly if she's not gone off. Um, so, my name's Helen from Helen Elizabeth Studios. I'm a rural and wildlife artist, if you don't already know me, and I'm very passionate about the countryside. I live in a rural environment and I'm a bit of a crazy animal lady. I'm surrounded by them, so I see more animals than I do human beings during the day. Um, but it's something I love. And I know one of my neighbours is on, maybe listening, so she can vouch for that. I do believe that we all deserve a little bit of countryside in our lives. So even if you live in the city or an urban environment, it's nice to get out into the countryside or walk in a park or have a little bit of greenery around you, even if you've just got a plant in the house. So if you can do that, it's good for your heart rate, brings your heart rate down. And my mission, which you may have seen on my website, is to enable everybody to enjoy a piece of country artwork in their life in some form. So it might be on a cup or on a cushion or on a painting, or indeed I'll show you some of my sticks in a moment. So I'm going to show you a few of my pieces this evening. Sarah shared before, Erica put it in the comments, it's 10% off from this evening till Sunday night. Just put in nature in the in my website when you're ordering. So Erica will put that code in the comment. Oh, she's already done it. Thank you very much, Erica. So I'll start with my first piece. So these are my painted walking sticks. This is called a knob ball walking stick. Can you just let me know, Eric, if you can see that properly? Because on my screen it's really small. Yeah, so that's a picture of a goldfinch. And you can use it, and it's got a brass ferrule on the end. So you hold them like that, and you generally lean on them like that. So you generally have them sort of waist height, but if you want them in the house and it's just hello Zeke, nice to see you. Hi Karen. Yeah, so these are a practical stick, but they're also an ornamental piece. So my partner uses these and he uses his practically. I just have them about the house as an ornament. You can have them on the wall. But what's great about them is you can take them with you and you can hold them in your hand. They're very tactile. So that's the goldfinch. That's £115 on my site, and then you've got your 10% off, and that's free UK shipping. And the other ball stick I've got is the squirrel. There, so that's the little red squirrel. Cute little creatures. I've never seen one in my garden. I've seen the grey squirrel, but I know if you go over to Anglesey, which is not very far from here, then you will see the red squirrels, because they don't have any grey squirrels, which, if you know, they have problems with them. So again, practical stick, it's got the brass ferrule on the end. So the cute little red squirrel, I would particularly like to see those live. I don't know where anybody that's watching, if they've ever seen any red squirrels. So I've got, just like most people have, different sides to my personality. I liken myself to a set of scales. I am Libra, not that I'm going to talk about star signs, but have you ever heard of the left brain and the right brain? So the left brain is your grounded, the organised self, your factual, your logical person. And then your right brain is your imaginative, your creative side, the emotional side. And my scales flip up and down depending on what's happening in my life and how I feel. So very, very similar to everybody else. And when it comes to my artwork, I find it very conflicting. And my sensible side, which I've needed most of my life, tends to take over, which is why some of my artwork is, it's quite a, it makes you think. Mine are, they are what they are, if you like. But the right side of my brain screams to get out, and every so often it wins. So I'm going to share a little poem with you now, and I'm going to show you a piece that I've just done recently. So I'm going to share this poem. I'm going to read it out because I can't remember it off the top of my head. So I'll start now. It's called Up, Up and Away. So you reach for the stars, they seem so far away. Your life frantic, hectic, all and every day. Now relax, close your eyes. So everybody close your eyes. What do you see? A glowing balloon floats you up so high. Look, you can hold the stars, they are in your hand. Your cares blown away to another land. What is your dream? Do you know? What do you see? Where do you go? Okay. You can open your eyes now, if you did close your eyes. So this set of prints that I'm going to show you is called What a Difference. And the reason why I called it that is because this is when the right side of my brain starts taking over. So this is called Up, Up and Away. So it's quite whimsical. It'd probably be nice in a child's bedroom or if you want a splash of colour. So we've got the red fox, the wild floating about in the sky. So that's Up, Up and Away. So that's a fine art print. So when I painted this picture, I was wanting to get away from things. So for me, I was in one of those little baskets. I was floating about in the sky, drifting off, going up to the stars. Now that would be amazing. Unless you're frightened of heights, of course. So that's a Geely print. So that's A3 and I do it mounted or unmounted. So if you have a look on my website, that's available on there. And a bit like Sarah said, art's it very much is in the eye of the beholder. So you can see that picture and I call that a moon, but it could be a planet and there's stars and bubbles. And a bit like Sarah's pictures, you can think of them however you want to think of them. And some people like a piece of artwork to speak to them. And some people just like a piece of artwork because they love animals or it reminds them of something. however you see art and whatever you use it for and however it makes you feel, it's very personal. And so the next piece in What a Difference, this is called, so this has just gone on my website. So this is called Goosey. So this was inspired, this is the original is pastel. This is inspired by my geese that I've got in the garden. And sometimes the geese are quite frantic, but quite often when they're in the garden on their own, they're very quiet. They plod round, and that was actually a photograph taken, and then I did a pastel from the photograph. So the way they're moving on there is exactly how the birds are. So I did them in pastel because for me, when I watch them, it's very calming. And this is a very calm and quiet picture. So I didn't want any great details. It's just a suggestion of the grass and a suggestion of the sky. So again, that's a fine art print, and you can have it mounted or unmounted. So that's Goosey. And then last in that What a Difference. So a lot of detail, quite a big difference. This is Grouse on the Moor. Grouse. When I look at the mountains in the background on the moors, the colours are, so you've got the purples and the beiges, and you have the yellows and greens. And this one, I've exaggerated the colours on there. So the mountings are quite exaggerated. So that's a beautiful, colourful piece if you want a nice splash of colour on your wall. And I'm absolutely crazy about grouse, so I do keep grouse myself. I haven't got any red at the moment, but I've got blacks, but I do love the red grouse. So you'll probably see on my website, I do paint a lot of red grouse. So that's just gone on my site now. And again, you can have it mounted or unmounted. So all prints are on Hamula German etching heavyweight paper, and they've light fast in the dark 200 years, believe it or not. So it'll long live us, or 80 years. Yes, Emma, it is very textured. It's got a strong mottled feeling, so it is a beautiful heavy paper. I very rarely sell my original pieces unless they're commissions, apart from my sticks, which are all bespoke and individual. So what I love about, I'm going to show you some more sticks in a moment. What I love about painting on sticks, I love painting on paper, but I do absolutely love painting on wood. I like the feel of the wood, and when you paint on a stick, they're absolutely fantastic to hold. They're fantastic to hold. They're not, although from a distance that looks smooth, they're not totally smooth. And the way I paint, you might find a few and ridges on there because it's a natural product. And these are great talking pieces. And when you're looking at these sticks, I'll show you this in a bit more detail in a moment. You look at it at first and you think, oh, there's one bird on there. And then you think, no, there's two. And then you look round and you think, oh, there's one. So, and then you look at the details and you'll see something you've missed. So there's always something tiny on there that you'll see. So they're a great talking point. I've got some of these in the gallery, and they've had to put a do not touch sign on them because everybody picks them up and touches them and feels them and tries to figure out how many animals are on it because they go round and round and round, but they're beautiful to hold and very tactile. And what some of my clients love is the fact that they can take that with them. So if they've had something painted that's got a lot of meaning to them on it, they can take it with them wherever they go because it's a stick. So it's not like carrying a big piece of artwork round. So it's something very different and unusual. So this one here, so they're staghorn, so that's antler, with buffalo horn tips and collar. And this one is a pheasant. So pheasants in the corn. And there's one, see, even I can't remember now. 1, 2. There's actually 4 pheasants on there. So there's 2 hens, which are very, I love the pheasants. They're all vibrant. I have pheasants visit in the garden. There's the same one comes every morning. And then there's another one crouching at the bottom on there. So now I've got a pheasant that comes in my garden. I used to work in an office on a farm, and there was a pheasant used to come in the office in the morning and cause havoc, pecking at everybody's feet. I'd take it home, so I put him in a cage and brought him home, and he still comes in my garden 3 years later. And then I've got another one here which has just been completed, and same, it's a staghorn top. None of them are exactly the same because obviously they're natural materials, and this is harder to see. So if you look at the video online, this has got woodcock on it. Now woodcock are a beautiful cheeky chubby little bird with long legs and a long beak. They live in the forests and go in the grasslands. Originally they would have been marsh birds, but they tend to be in the woods now and in the fields, and they come out at night and they're camouflaged, so it's quite hard to see on the video, but they're woodcocks. They're beautiful little birds. And that's just, I put that live, that's just gone on the site live for this evening. I'm absolutely crazy. I love game birds. I love the fact that they're all different. They come in all shapes and sizes. Beautiful little birds. And then talking about birds, I'll show you some of these prints. There's actually, they're the originals behind me, and they're framed, so you can sort of see how they would look if you frame them. And I always do the sizes. I don't have them framed because they're a nightmare to ship, and I always print them in sizes where you could buy a standard frame and just put them in yourself. So this is the goldfinch on thistle. So it's on the same paper as the others. So that all my pictures are A3. Some are slightly bigger, but just so it's easier to mount. So that's A3 on an A2. So you can just buy an A2 frame, or you can just buy the print, and that's A3. If you just buy the print, it comes rolled up in a tube. If you buy the mounted, obviously it comes flat. So they're the goldfinches on thistle. And like I was saying before, I love goldfinches. I love they're so fast and sprightly, and I've got loads in the garden. They're absolutely gorgeous, and I've got a feeder near the window, so I see them on the window. And this one is bullfinches on rowan berries. And those birds, I don't see those too often in the garden. I've seen the odd one in the hedge, but they seem to be a little bit more shy. So if you look at the males, they've got a brighter chest than the females. They've got a brighter orange chest. So they make a good pair, those two. And then last but not least, I did share a video of George, my little man. These are peregrine falcons on the same paper. And the reason why I painted them, because I love birds of prey. And then somebody gave George to me when he was a baby. He was just a big white fluff ball. So to George, I'm actually not his mother anymore, although I did feed him. To George, I'm his partner. So he cries for me and screams for me and takes food off me. So he's 2. By next year, he'll be in breeding mode. So he does display now, but that's what inspired me to paint my falcon. There is my George. But I do love birds of prey. But I like that one. I like the fact it's simple. And if you like birds of prey, if you like birds, that is a nice one to... on a nice plain wall that would look good on. And then last but not least, a couple more sticks for you. So this one is these are called In the Dark. So this is Wildlife by the Moonlight. So that's a tawny owl. I did paint these before I met Sarah, but we've got the owl theme going on here. So the tawny owl, which I see in the garden at night, or you see the silhouette really of them sitting on top of the chicken pen, probably hoping there's a chicken wandering around, but they're all they can't get in because there's a net, and you can hear them at night screeching. And then we've got the beautiful red fox, which everybody loves foxes, and the badger. And we get plenty of badgers and foxes wandering around here in the night. Blue, the dark blue sky against the green foliage, which you get at night. And if you go where you've got no light pollution, then you get that advantage where you get those beautiful dark skies with the stars. And I'm quite lucky because I've got skylights in my bedroom, so when you look up you do see the stars. And this one is the barn owl, and that's a short painting. So I do commissions, and I do sticks, and I do smaller paintings and bigger paintings. So this is the cute little barn owl, and who doesn't love a barn owl? Now what inspired me to paint these is last year a neighbour brought, not all together, now, they should go back in the nest but they're protected. So I ended up looking after them for a week, and then they went to a rescue centre. A friend of mine's a conservationist, and they ended up going back in nests with donor mothers, so they're back in the wild. So that was a happy ending, but that was quite traumatic. If you go on my blog, you'll be able to see a couple of videos of those little baby barn owls. So that's the barn owl. And that's the end of the show. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for bearing with us with our technical problems. We'll need to get those sorted. Thank you, Sarah, for your fantastic exhibition, and Erica, thank you very, very much for being the co-host. We were hoping that Erica was going to be showing her face, but that's not happened, unfortunately. So if you've got any questions, just pop them in the group. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's been brilliant. And I'll say good night. Bye bye.